both me and Mahad, we grew up in Brampton. So growing up in Brampton, I've always heard the stereotype that Brampton has bad drivers. What are you, Mayor Brown, and Council doing to change that?
So we're trying to bring in zero tolerance for reckless driving. We've done two things. The Peel Police, with our support, have launched Project Erase, which is blitzes around the city where they go and hold accountable bad drivers. And so we've had cars impounded, licenses lost, making an example of people that are showing disregard for their neighborhood and their community. And Project Erase has been successful. I think there's an awareness that if you are driving recklessly, that you face a risk of getting caught. The second thing we've done is we have passed a motion to install automated speed cameras, automated speed enforcement cameras, otherwise known as photo radar, around the city. And we have signed up to have 200 cameras, 200 different locations in the city are going to have photo radar. So if you speed and you're reckless, you will get a big fat ticket. And sometimes if you get a warning sign, it's not enough. It's a ticket. Tickets deterrence. And so we've already installed, I think, the first 5. And by the end of the year, hopefully we're going to have 200 locations.
Great. So is stunt driving an issue in Brampton, and how can we fix that?
Well, I think accountability is one way to fix it. So if you lose your car, if you lose your license, you're not going to repeat that behavior. And so stunt driving is more of a criminal matter. And we have the full support of Peel Police to tackle that scourge and make sure that it's not permitted. And a few weeks ago there was a case of someone's car going right off the road and into a backyard. And people are saying, how can you have driving like that in Brampton? The individual was actually from Wasaga Beach. It was not a Bramptonian, but ultimately, stunt driving in Brampton is something that we take very seriously, and you could end up in jail for it.
So obviously there was the unfortunate collision that happened in Brampton a few weeks ago with Carolina Ciasulo and her 3 children. What can we do to prevent other collisions like this from happening again?
Well, this was a case where you had someone who was criminally negligent. They had evaded the police. They had a past history with police. They were not supposed to be driving. They did not have a license. They did not have plates. They used criminal means to get plates. They breached their obligations not to drive. And so when someone's a criminal like that, there's going to be real consequences for his actions. Not only did he has to live with shattering a family, stealing a family of their lives, this individual's going to end up behind bars for a very long time, and rightfully so. It's murder.
Yeah. So some people aren't aware of all the dangers that comes along with street racing. Could you discuss some of the dangers of street racing?
Well, you not only are you taking your own life at risk, you're taking the lives of others at risk. Street racing could end up being manslaughter in the courts. You could be charged with murder.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people believe the penalties for street racing aren't severe enough. Do you believe the penalties should be more strict?
I would like there to be stricter penalties in the criminal code for driving-related tragedies, but that ultimately would be a federal decision. The criminal code is, and the sentences that are available are set by the government of Canada.
Mm-hmm. Mahad, did you want to ask the next one?
Yeah. And as a mayor of Brampton, what action are you taking to put a stop to street racing and stunt driving crashes?
So there's 2 things we've done. We've launched Project Erase with the Peel Police, which is where they have blitzes and they are suspending licenses and taking cars if you're caught street racing. And we also have our 200 photo radar cameras that council is setting up and are being installed across the city. So people will get big fat tickets as well if they're speeding.
What do you think is a viable and safe alternative for people like with the need for speed?
They don't need to have a need for speed. If they want to see reckless car crashes, they can play a video game. It doesn't need to happen in real life.
Okay. And we just wanted to know if you could follow us on our social medias.
Oh, wait, I think we had one more question that you missed there. So, why do people in Brampton pay so much for insurance? And because I heard that it's like one of the top in Canada. And what can we do to change that?
So province is regulated provincially. In Ontario, they have something called a geographical supplement, which means that the big insurance companies can charge more in an area if they believe that there are more false claims or there's more accidents. Other provinces don't have this geographical postal code surcharge. When I was in provincial politics, I advocated that we end the postal code surcharge. You shouldn't be charged more if you live in Brampton compared to Kingston. But ultimately, this is a decision the Premier of Ontario and the Minister of Consumer and Commercial Affairs would have to make, as is regulated by the province of Ontario. I think it's wrong that places like Markham, Scarborough, Etobicoke, and Brampton have surcharges. It's not right, it's not fair, it's not equitable, and we will continue to protest to the province that this needs to be changed.